Good morning. No French this morning. How are you? Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is absolutely hot outside. Like, really, it's really hot out. I got up early this morning. Well, let me start here. I woke up at about like 3 o'clock this morning, which is how, spirit or energy works with me. Like, I'm an early riser. And then after I had my moment, then I went back to sleep at about 4:30, maybe 5, and I woke up and I took my baby Sky, my fur baby Sky, to the dog run. Took my time getting there, of course, because I just got my stitches out yesterday out of my thigh, and I am, good morning, Rhonda. Good morning, my love. Yeah, so I just got my stitches out yesterday out of my thigh, and I'm still walking with a cane, but you know what? Living life on life terms, and I've surrendered to the process, so I'm not even fighting this damn thing anymore. So like I said, this morning I woke up at about like 3:30 this morning, and I started reading some posts on Facebook and just different things, and I'm not singling anyone out. I'm just talking about how spirit speaks through me and my journey, and I just offer my experience, to other people. So I'm not saying what works for me works for everybody else. But in any case, so what happened was there was a post that was talking about something about if we don't touch, in other words, if we want to heal, then we have to stop touching. In other words, we have to stop tapping into our stories in order to heal. And that kind of was unsettling to me because, everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own opinion. However, as healers, which we all are, we're all healers. There's no big I's and no little U's. As healers, we have to be careful about telling people not to tap into their hurts or their stories if they want to heal. Because one, we haven't walked in their shoes, so we don't know exactly what people need to do. And then two, what I believe is that the only way or the bridge back to life is tapping into our story, right? So I'm going to talk about my experience. I'm a part of an amazing group of people who, and we call ourselves the No Matter What crew. Right? We're that no matter what crew, right? And we belong to, and we are part of this amazing space that offers us a bridge back to life, right? It says that if we practice certain principles and traditions or steps in our lives, what happens is that we get this newfound freedom that offers us a bridge back to life. So I'm grateful for that group, because I understand that it is only by tapping, and one, by practicing these principles in all of my affairs, then that means I am given the opportunity to live a life that is free, and I'm given the opportunity to walk on this bridge back to life, right? And so with this space, right, the only way that I can practice these principles in all of my affairs is that I must be willing to do some step work. Means I have to be willing to step into my story, right? Oh God, I have to be willing to step into my story to be able to benefit from the freedom that this space offers and the ability to walk on or upon this bridge back to life. And so when I read this post this morning, it was kind of uncomfortable, because it is only through stepping into our story that we get the understanding that we need to live a self-fulfilling or a fulfilling life that is passionate and purposeful, right? So what happened was I had my Jesus moment. right? And I don't read the Bible all the time. I go to church every now and then. However, I'm this individual, and I'm becoming this individual where I can go anywhere, and still honor the presence of God, right? So I don't get into the religion. I don't get into mine's is better. I don't do all of that, because I understand that God speaks to us in ways that are unimaginable, right? We can't even, sometimes people want to say how God speaks. God speaks the way God speaks, right? So I had this Jesus moment, and what came to me this morning at 3:30 in the morning, because my people, my ancestors, my people, my God of my understanding, they want to have a conversation at 3:30 in the morning. But anyway, right? So what came to me in a vision was how Jesus had to surrender to the idea of going on the cross, right? Going on the cross to sacrifice himself for our sins, right? And I can't even imagine, right, in a way, how and what he felt. And so I can only imagine the conversation between Jesus, right, and God, right? So Jesus is as saying to God, like, no, God is saying, Jesus, you must, right? I need you to sacrifice, and I'm paraphrasing, I need you to sacrifice yourself on this cross, and I need you to endure this pain to pay for the sins of my people. Right? And then Jesus is like, because Jesus knows that because of the things that we've endured, that this is going to be a very painful process. So Jesus is like, no, God, like I've done enough. I've been through enough. I've gone out in the land and I've talked about you, right? I talked about a God that they cannot see. I've talked about the magnificence, right, of who you are and all that you bring in your glory. And now you're telling me, because these people don't really want to believe in you, that I got to sacrifice myself? Like, I got to feel their stories. I have to feel their stories. I have to feel their afflictions. I have to feel their trauma. I have to feel the stuff that not only that other people have done to them, but the things that they have done to themselves. You mean to tell me I have to feel this? And God, right? And God, in the magnificence, said, yes, I need you to trust me. I need you to put your faith in me, and I need you to trust me, because you know what? If you do this, I promise you that you will experience my glory, that you will feel and experience and live in the magnificence that you can't even imagine, right? And because Jesus, right, believed and had faith, right? Had faith, right? Because Jesus was a healer. So Jesus had to believe that this was going to be, and so Jesus allowed, right? Gave permission and said yes. And so he experienced and got up on the cross and felt all of our fucking stories. Jesus felt all of our stories, right? So then what came to me this morning at 3:30 in the morning, because the people want to speak, right? Because the people want to speak. The one thing that I visualized, right, with Jesus on the cross was the crown of thorns. Right? To me, that was the most painful thing, was the crown of thorns on the head. Right? And my amazing friend, I spoke about her yesterday, and she had put a post on Facebook, and she was talking about, and she said, Jesus, oh Lord, I am tired of bleeding. Right? And I talked about how I know she wasn't talking about it in a sense of a physical kind of thing. And I wasn't taking it literal, but I understood, right? So I was thinking about and visualizing the thorns on his head, right? And why was that so profound to me was because, right? The head, the head, the head, the head, the head. The head is where all of the shit, all of the stuff, all of the trauma, all of the thoughts, all of the beliefs, all of the stuff is in the head, right? And so the thorn metaphorically represents, right, the pain that is ingrained in our heads. And the blood, like my friend was talking about, is the release. The release, the release, the release that Jesus was feeling. I have to feel the pain, but then I have to release it, right? And even in his tears, he was releasing. Even in all of his screaming, he was releasing. Even in all of his crying. And then, not only was it the crown, but it was the pins, and the name doesn't come to me now, but all stuck in his body and in his feet, right? And so those represent the spaces where the pain is trapped. Where the pain of the people of our stories are trapped. And so what happened when he was stuck and stabbed in those spaces, it was the release, because God needed him to feel the pain and the release of it. And then the feet was just stakes just stabbed into his feet. Those represent the painful places that we have walked. Our stories are filled with the painful places and the hurtful places that we have walked. And so the moral, right, of the story is that if Jesus can feel our stories and tap into our stories, why can't we? Why can we not tap into our stories? Why is it such a bad thing to tap into our stories, right? Because what happened with Jesus is like he had to die. That part of him had to die. He died for our stories. He died. That part of him had to die. But then, right? Here's the light, right? Here's the promise of God, or goddess, or goddess. You understand God. Here is the promise of God, is that if you will tap into your stories, and if you will trust in me, I promise you, when you die, not physically, but when you die to the pain that it causes, or you surrender to it, I promise you that when you awaken from that sleep, when you awaken from that space, you will experience profound glory. You will experience a glory like you have never, ever experienced. And then my ancestors, right? 3:30 in the morning, they want to have conversation, right? And not just my ancestors, but the ancestors, right? Because it's not just my ancestors that speak to me. It's the ancestors, right? So they want to speak, and they reminded me of a time when our people would sit around the fire. They would sit in the huts, or they would sit in the sacred spaces, right? And they would talk about the stories of our people. And they never limited what they discussed, because they understood the power of storytelling. They understood the life and power of the story, right? They understood that in every story, even though we experienced pain, that we are not the weaklings that we think we are, that we are actually the heroes and the heroines of our stories, because it is that one that is in the past, right, that was so fucking courageous enough, so faithful enough, so resilient enough, that we made it here. We are here in this moment. And that is why it is important for us to honor our stories. That is why it is important for us not to run from our stories, but to run to it in faith. See, when you run to your story in faith, then you have nothing to fear. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You have nothing to be confined by, because faith is the evidence, right? Our story is the evidence. Our stories are the evidence, right, of the God essential and phenomenal self being alive in our lives. So I couldn't eat breakfast. I couldn't do anything else but bathe, right? Because this was in my spirit. It was around me, and my ancestors were speaking, and not just my ancestors. The ancestors were speaking, and it was rubbing me on my shoulders, and it was talking to me, and they was talking and talking. And then the God of my understanding was like, you got it, you got it, you got to do this, you got it, right? So here, right, here, as healers, we have to be careful. And we are all healers, whether we are healers in making clothes, whether we are healers in dancing, whether we are healers through food, whether we are healers through art, whether we are healers through preaching, whatever, we are all healers. We have to be sensitive to the information that we give to people, because our stories are not the shit that we walk upon and say fuck it and don't give a damn about it, and that we don't tell people and we don't tap into it, and we keep the secrets of what is destroying lives. So I just wanted to share that piece. I just wanted to tell you how and speak. And it's not even me. That's just the universe. That's God. That's the ancestors. Just wanted to share that. Because I'm just a vessel. I'm just a vessel who's sharing my stories. And the more you tap into your story, the more you share it, the less of an impact it will have in having you in a fetal position. I am a testimony. I'm a testimony. There's some things that I feel and I'm like, I get up and I dust myself off, and then there's some things that I'm in the fetal position. But you know what? It's the joy in the journey. It's the glory in my story. It's the value in the valley, right? That's making me this woman that I am. And I say that in humility. I will always be a newcomer. It will always be about the beginning. And I will strive not to minimize my story, but always uplift it. I thank you all so much. I love y'all all so much. I do. I love y'all all so much. And I just want you to be happy. I want you to live a self-fulfilling, and not even self, but a purposeful and passionate and loving life. Take care. Stay blessed as you are, because you always are. And continue to just enjoy the joy in this magnificent journey. Take care. Bye.